Okay, 4.3, let's go over 4.3 real quick, give you some answers here. So does each equation describe a vertical, horizontal, or oblique line? So remember, if it doesn't have an x value like a, that is horizontal. It's only going in the across the y-axis there, right? So a is horizontal, b is vertical. We did those in class. What is c, do you think?
Oblique.
Yeah, c has both x and y in it, so it is oblique. And D, what about D? D just has a Y in it, so that is horizontal. I'm on free still? Sorry. How's that? You see that now? Okay, number 2. Which equation describes this horizontal line? Well, the horizontal line has to be Y. It does go through positive 2, so for A, it's this one right there. For B, this is a vertical line, so it has to just go through x equals -2, so that's this one. And stop me if you have any questions, but I'll just kind of keep firing through here. So 3, all right, so the sum of two numbers is 8. Let x and y represent the two numbers. Create a table for 5 different values of x. Now, the table of values will probably vary from student to student because there was no prescription for what x values to use. But they may have started with a 0. If that's the case and went above that, that's great. I'll put down some values and I'll explain to you what the table should look like. And then you can mark whether it's, judge whether yours is right or wrong. Okay, so there's a few. You can see that as x goes up 1, y goes down 1, right? And so on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are table values for 5. If you had negative numbers, that's great. Let me throw you a negative number. -2 plus what gives you 8?
10.
Yeah, 10. All right, so that you could have negative numbers in there too. All right, graph the data. Should you join the points? Okay, as I graph the data, what do you think? Should we join these points? So would there be numbers in between the numbers that we've graphed on the or put on the table of values that would also work?
Not
Like
numbers.
1.5?
Yeah.
Would 1.5 have another value that adds up to 8? Would 2.7759 have another number that adds up to 8? Yes, they all work, so you can certainly connect the dots. It doesn't say anything about just whole numbers, it just says two numbers, so yeah, you should connect the dots. So 0, 8, and 4, 4, 8, 0 would be another one that's on there, so it should look something like this. Be as detailed as you can. Plot some of your points on there. 0, 1, 2, 3,
So if they have
4.
the slots but it wasn't connected, half points?
Yeah, so should you join the points? Yes, you should. If it's not connected, then minus half a mark. Yeah, you can subtract half a mark from that one. All right, write the equation as x relates to y. Well, what's easy to do is just go from the words and say x plus y equals 8. Done. That's an equation where x relates to y. If you wrote y equals -x plus 8, that's also a good one. Okay, so either one of those. But does anybody else have anything else that they're wondering if it's correct? That's not one of those two? X plus y equals 8 would probably be the one that you would get most often. Okay, yeah, so again, I did some of these for you last day. So graph each line, explain your work. So x equals 4, okay, all x values are 4, that's a vertical line. So you have 4 here, you have a vertical line going through x equals 4. I'll just draw you the graphs here real quick. Y minus 2 equals -6. You need to solve for y in this. So you need to solve for x, you need to solve for y in order to graph. That's the best way to do that for any equation. So I add 2, so that's -4. So y equals -4. So this one should be right here. Question? Yeah.
Okay, they have a graph, then it has an x and a y axis, but it has no numbers on it. It just has lines.
Yeah, no, you have to have numbers on it to be correct. So, yeah, just big circle. I'll take a look at it. B, this is y equals 6 divided by 2 is 3. So that's this one, where y is going through 3. Horizontal. And this one here, this is going to take a little bit of work to find out what this one is. But subtract 3 from both sides. Divide by 2 both sides. You get 5 over 2, or x equals 2.5. Which should be, a vertical line whoops, a vertical line at 2.5 right here. So those what those graphs should look like. And yeah, you should have your axes labeled. I'm getting a little small here. So remember, do your work on a separate piece of paper so it's a little bit easier for you to see here. Okay. All right, number 5. For each equation below, I'll switch colors of pen here now for 5. Make a table of values for x. So x, y, table of values. They're asking us to use these values for x. So I'll do that. And what you can do is solve for y right away if you're going to have to figure out what y is anyways. You could solve for y in the equation right away. I would almost suggest that. You could just go ahead and plug values in and figure out what the y has to be, but I think that solving for y here would be great. So let's do y equals negative 3x plus 3. That's what happens when I subtract 3x from both sides, then I get this equation. So now what you would do here, and again, you should do all this on your paper, show all your work so you don't make any mistakes, and you can also communicate what you're doing well. Okay, you should show your work. You need to show your work. So y equals negative 3 times what? Let's do the first one, negative 2 plus 3. Y equals 6 plus 3, y equals 9. So guess what? 9 goes there. Change the value there from negative 2, let's make it 0. Okay, well, that's going to be 0 plus 3, or 3. And then finally, if we try 2 in there, that's going to be negative 6 plus 3. That's y equals negative 3. So I'm doing that real quick. Graph the equation. We have negative 2 and 9. So here's 9. I'll just put that right here. So here's the point. Sorry, I'll put the 9 there. Negative 2, 9, 0, 3. So a third of this would be 3. And then 2, negative 3. 1, 2, negative 3. Straight line? Yep, straight line. Looks something like that through those 3 points, okay? So that is for A. I'll show you B real quick, same way. So for 5B, this is what you should have for a table of values, and this is what your graph should look like. Going through negative 2, negative 5, 0, negative 4, and 2, negative 3. And for number 6, I'll pump over to number 6 here now. So on the same grid, we're going to graph each of these 3 lines. X plus y equals 6. Now, you can solve for y pretty easy, great. But you should also look at this and say, hey, I just need 2 numbers that add up to 6. So my points are going to be like 0, 6, 1, 5, just like the very first question. 2, 4, and so on, right? So you can just plot 3 of those points and be done with it. 0, 6 right here, 1, 1, 5, 2, 4. So there's our first one. Use a nice straight edge, straight line to make that nice and beautiful. Y equals 1. So y equals 1. Here's 1 right here. I'm going to draw a horizontal line right there. And then x minus y equals negative 6. Okay, this one's a bit trickier. This is easy, this one. This one's a bit trickier. The difference between 2 numbers is negative 6. Okay. You know what? Let's solve for y here. So I'm going to get negative y equals minus x minus 6 divided by negative 1. That changes all the signs. Okay, so y equals x plus 6. Let's try that. So if we have 0, 0 plus 6 is 6. So that's the point 0. Let me see, this is right here. If x equals 0, yeah, then y equals 6. Okay. And if x equals 2, then y equals 8. Right? So 2 is 8 up here. Oh, let's do some negative numbers. So negative 4, let's say. Negative 4 plus 6 is positive 2. So negative 4, positive 2. Okay, so I've got 3 points there. I connect those. Yours is going to look better than mine. So it looks like these are all joining somewhere around here, here, and here. So what shape is that that's made?
Triangle.
Yeah, it's a triangle right here. Okay, triangle. So that's what that should look like, okay? And there should be some work here with A, but if they don't have the lines looking like this, and they don't have the graph for the B, and label this as triangle, then you can circle it, and I'll take a look at it later. Okay, any questions about that? Like I went through that real quick. But I answered a bunch of your questions while you were working on it too, so. Anybody have any questions about 4.3? All right, that's the 4.3 review assignment.